I'm Tim, the Cheap 3D Printer. And today what we have is a really cool print on a cheap printer with some cheap filament. A couple weeks ago, or actually a couple days ago, I watched a video from the 3D Printing Nerd, Joel at the 3D Printing Nerd, which he's got an awesome channel. You should subscribe to it if you want to see more from him. Joel at the 3D Printing Nerd did this cool print. He did a giant size hairy lion print that he had downloaded. And so I wanted to do that same print, do it a little cheaper. It's definitely going to be smaller because his is massive. But I did it on my A-Lunar M505, which is a rebranded ANET A8, which the ANET A8 is a Prusa i3 clone. And so it's cheap. My wife bought it for me for Christmas. She spent just a little over $200 on the printer. I've upgraded it a little bit. I bought a E3D V6 clone hot end, and I did a Bowden setup with it. I also bought some new threaded rods for it to make it a little better. And but it's producing an amazing print. It's going to be coming off the printer here pretty soon. As soon as it comes off the printer, we'll get it and we'll show it to you. Kira said this was going to be a 20-hour print. It's looking like it's going to be very close to 20 hours. Last night, just before I went to bed, I set it up at about 9:15, 9:30. Here's what it looked like as I was getting ready to go to bed. Here's what it looked like then when I woke up this morning. Here's what it looked like when I came home from lunch. Here's what it looks like now. So of course I am the cheap 3D printer, and being the cheap 3D printer, I chose a cheap filament to print this lion on. I am using this PLASfil PLASfil 3D filament. I bought it on Amazon. I think I paid less than $18, I think. Maybe $19 for this filament. It was fairly cheap. It is a cheap Chinese, made in China filament, and it tells me that it's got a stable melting point, good round shape. That's good, I guess, good round shape. Uniform diameter tolerance and consistent colors. So I'm glad that I didn't get red that has orange and green and blue in it. And so this is what we used. And we're going to see how it turns out. I think it's going to turn out well, based on what I'm seeing so far. We'll see when we take off this shell to see how the lion turns out. But this is the filament, and like I said, it was inexpensive. I've also been using Hatchbox, which is relatively inexpensive, and in the past I don't have any. I'm not using any at this moment, but use Hatchbox. So okay, so this print literally just got done. Like, the bed is still hot. The temperatures are still way up. I don't know if you can see that or not. Temperatures are still high. I'm going to pull it off and we're going to see what we got. All right, it is off the heat bed. Let's look at this. I gotta take my glasses off. I'm getting too old for this. This cheap filament printed quite nicely. There's a little spot right here where it looks like got a little hotter than normal. It was going around in a small spot. The top is not perfect right there. It was going around in a real small spot. I don't know if you can see that. This print looks pretty stinking good, especially for a cheap filament. Especially for a cheap filament. This filament, like I said, less than $19 on Amazon. I printed it at 210 degrees, 0.2 layer height, 0.8 bottom and top, 0.8 shell, 5% infill, I believe. I mean, just a little bit of infill. I was trying to save as much filament as possible. Now, the way this works is I'm supposed to cut this out and then use a blow dryer to do the hair. So we're going to try that. Super impressed with this filament, and we'll see how this works out. So here we go. I'm going to have to need a longer knife. Longer knife. All right, I think we're free. Let's see. Okay, apparently not. Okay. Ah, there he is. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of hard to focus here, but he looks amazing. Now let's see what we can do with this blow dryer and see how much stuff is left in there. Some stuff, not a big deal. Let's I'm going to tip him back. Yeah, lion. And there we go. One big red lion. He turned out well on my Lunar M505 with the E3D V6 clone hot end, the Bowden setup, the replaced threaded rods. He did really well, just turned out amazing. You almost can't even see the lines unless you look really, really close. Great model. Got this off of My Maker Factory, I believe. I'll leave a link down below. And I'll leave a link also to 3D Printing Nerd, who did one of these in a giant, huge, massive size on his big printer. So check it out. You'll enjoy it. And if you like this, subscribe below, where I'm going to be doing more videos as the cheap 3D printer.
Links are